Hello, Jamie.
Hi, Cheryl. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm terrific. It's a great pleasure to be able to speak with you. I see you every week here in my home. You're projected into my TV and on my favorite television show, so this is a real honor for me. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Let me tell you that I really, really loved your movie.
Thank you.
I'm curious, was this going to be Adrian's next project?
It was going to be Adrian's next project. As a matter of fact, Michael Royce, who produced this and also produced Waitress and worked with her on Waitress, he said that she always talked about shooting Waitress and Serious Moonlight at the same time, like back to back. But they decided not to do that.
But you obviously share the sensibility that she had, so I would imagine that's why they entrusted you with her script.
Well, I appreciate you saying that because that was the idea. You know, I really appreciate Adrian's writing, and I loved what she did in Waitress, and it is a bit of a quirky tone. The way she writes is, or she wrote.
Well,
a little quirky.
This has a lot of tonal similarities to Waitress, and Waitress was one of my very favorite movies the year it was released too. And if I think about the characteristics, I mean, obviously it's very funny, it's truthful, it's uncompromising, sometimes it's uncomfortable, but both of these films are so big-hearted. And I wanted your take on her writing in terms of the male-female dynamic. What makes her writing unique in that respect?
I think she writes honest dialogue that couples would really say. And it's not, sometimes it's not pretty. Sometimes it's just raw and real, and you feel like you're watching two people actually talk. And I think that's the magic of her writing.
Yeah. So your first time out directing a feature film, it had to have been terrifying.
Of course.
But you're in the industry, and obviously you've worked with a lot of great directors. Did you seek anyone's advice?
I did, yeah. I sat down with Barry Sonnenfeld and tried to get a crash course in filmmaking from him. And I talked to Zach Penn, who directed me in The Grand. He was very helpful. Sometimes I would be texting him and asking him questions. And also Larry Charles I found to be very helpful. He was a spiritual guide for me, whether he knows it or not. I don't know if he knows it or not, but I should tell him that he was. But
well,
I would
he knows
ask
it
him
now.
questions
Yeah.
too. He knows it now, yeah. I would definitely be emailing him from time to time, asking him questions about it.
So when you're wearing the director's hat for the first time, what did you learn about yourself in that role?
Well, I learned that I have a lot of stamina. I mean, for a girl that likes to complain when the temperature changes 2 degrees, going from that to, working 16-hour days, it doesn't matter what the temperature is, rain, shine, mud, you name it, you're doing it, you're out there, you're living it, you're in the middle of it. I learned that I'm tough on the inside.
That's good.
I'm tougher than I thought I was.
But were you, when I'm looking at this movie, and it's a terrific movie, but in the back of my mind I thought this could just as easily be a stage play in a way. So when you're approaching it as a movie, was that a consideration for you to try to make it as cinematic as possible?
Yeah, of course, because it was written as a screenplay. that's how I approached it. And it is challenging because it takes place in so few locations.
Mm-hmm.
But, not every movie is in Tahiti. Some movies are behind closed doors. And that's what this was.
So when you read it, did you have pictures of who you wanted to cast right away? Did you see Meg Ryan as you read that role?
Well, it's interesting because first I read it just seeing Louise and Ian, just the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start the casting process, which is pretty fascinating. Very stressful, that casting process. But you sit down and you start talking to the producers, in this case, Michael and Andy, and talking about ideas and who you think would be great. And
mm-hmm.
and we sent the script to Meg Ryan, and she really liked the script. And I just thought she would be so good in this film because I felt like she could bring a charm and a lightness to the character of Louise, who's pretty dark and is doing very bad things. And I knew that Meg would be able to do that and at the same time let the audience be on her side.
Right.
So it was exciting when she said yes to this film.
Yeah, that inherent likability is very important for a role like that.
Yes.
And she's got it. Let me ask you about the phase where you're done with it and you're showing it to audiences for the first time, the whole film festival circuit. I know that has to be very nervous-making for you, but was it completely satisfying? I would think it would be because this is a really uplifting movie.
I tell you, when we premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival in front of 1,000 people, I thought I was going to pass out right before the film started. I have never been so anxious and nervous in my life. I didn't anticipate being so overwhelmed by the idea of 1,000 people watching my film, but I was. And then when you start hearing people laugh, and you hear the whole theater gasp at the same time, or laugh at the same time, or clap during the movie, it was the most amazing feeling ever.
Yeah, I bet it is. And plus, because you live with it for so long, you might lose some kind of perspective in a way. So showing it to an audience of 1,000 that have never seen it before, it can make you see it in a brand new light. Is that true?
That's true. It is true. And it was very rewarding because it made me go back to all those hours in the editing room where you're creating a little moment, a subtle moment that I thought would be funny, but 8 months later you're watching it going, I don't know if that's even close to funny. I don't even know if it's interesting. And then you watch it with a crowd of people, and everybody thinks that tiny moment is funny. It's just amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have the director bug now? Are you anxious to get back?
Well, I would like to direct another film. It would have to be just the right project.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big commitment, huge commitment. It's the biggest commitment you can make in show business, I think. So it would have to be just the right one. But I feel like I've learned so much, and I'd like to use that in my next project. So it's kind of exciting to think about.
Let me just ask you one question about Curb, because I would be remiss if I didn't. I think it's the funniest show ever on TV, in the history of TV. And are you like us? Do you watch it every Sunday night just like the rest of us?
I do watch it every Sunday night. I mean, I could get copies ahead of time, but I don't. I like to watch it with my friends and see what the show is, because the show is improvised.
Mm-hmm.
I have a story outline, but it's only, 6, 7 pages long. I don't know exactly what they've shot.
Yeah.
And I don't know until I watch the show, and I have such a good time watching Larry on Sunday night. I'm telling you. It's surreal because it's such a fun show to watch. I'll be watching it. Yeah. I'll be watching it, then I come on the screen, I'm like, oh my God, that's right, I'm in this show.
Is there a favorite moment or an episode from this season that you like the most?
Well, it makes me laugh so hard when Larry is driving and he calls the guy in front of him a schmohawk. Because he says that's what his dad used to call people in traffic. And he said, it was on last season, he talked about it. And then when he keeps bringing it up, and he's always so angry when he calls somebody a schmohawk. I don't know why, but it really gets to me.